Hey everybody, I wanted to give you a Wednesday update. I know the last post you saw me was pretty bad. I was dealing with the worst part or the worst day of the sepsis that had happened after my first surgery. So just in a brief recap, I had to go in for a second emergency surgery on Sunday. I had my first surgery on Friday. And then at some point on Saturday, I started running a really high fever. And they had to go back in and do some repairs. Some of the stitching on the intestines had broken loose, and I was had become septic. So basically, I had stool and stuff like that getting into my abdominal cavity. And if you've never been through sepsis, you never want to have to go through it. That was the worst thing I've ever been through in my life, and I'm still getting over it. Today, I'm going to be in the hospital. Looks like now for a few more days because I have a lot more antibiotics to take to kick this, but my fever has come down a bit. It was up to 104 on Saturday and Sunday before the surgery, but now it's down to about 99. So we're heading in the right direction. I met with an ostomy nurse today who kind of gave me some good information on installing and using the ostomy device, which is what I will have. I actually have two of them because of after the second surgery, they had to go and put another bag for the fistula that they had to create. And let me tell you what, after that second surgery, the worst part about was waking up with a breathing tube down your throat and an NG tube up your nose and find out that I had been given a central line in my neck and I had an arterial IV in my hand. So they had done all that thankfully while I was in surgery, but when I woke up and had that breathing tube, still I was panicking. I didn't know what was going on, and I'm sure some of you have had that happen before, but that was a very unsettling feeling when you can't talk and you don't even know what's down your throat. That by far was the worst. And of course, I'm going through the pain again of having another surgery. So it was like resetting everything that had started to try to begin a healing process with the laparoscopic holes and stuff. All that's done. Got to start over again. It's just like resetting everything. So they already gave me some good pain medicine, thankfully, and I'm not afraid to ask for it at this point. It's available in the hospital. I've just gotten up and walked. That's why I'm a little winded right now. I just sat down. I'm actually sitting in a chair, which I'm going to try to do as long as I can this afternoon because, number one, I don't want to get pneumonia. So I'm trying to stay upright as much as possible. I've got my hospital red Jell-O, and I gotta say, I've eaten a lot of Jell-O in my life, and this is some of the best Jell-O I've ever eaten. I don't know what they do to it to make it any different, but they know how to make some good Jell-O. So I'm able to eat that, and I've got some iced tea and some apple juice and stuff like that. So they still have me on a clear liquids diet, so it's about all I can have. But I did hear from the doctors today that I might go start on a soft foods diet tomorrow. So if they bring me some mashed potatoes, I'm gonna probably jump out of bed. No, but I'll be very happy to be on some food. Basically, I don't consider Jell-O food. It's just like a treat, I guess. But this is the most solid food I've had since after surgery. And for 2 days, I was on no liquids or solids because I had that NG tube after the second surgery, and they didn't let me eat anything. That was bad. I was begging the nurse, and she brought me a sponge to suck on. That was the most I could have. So I think based on my vitals and things like that, I've crossed the worst part of the sepsis. And for those of you who don't know what sepsis is, it's just when your abdominal cavity, your entire abdominal cavity becomes infected from some foreign matter. And obviously, you know what mine was. So they had to go in and clean all that out and try to get this infection under control. So the reason I had the central line put in. So what happened during the second surgery, my blood pressure for some reason dropped very, very low. It got down to like 50/30 or maybe lower than that. So they had to rush and get a central line put in so they could give me some very caustic medicine that would raise my blood pressure, and it did, thankfully. And it's been good ever since, but it dropped really, really low during surgery. So now I'm down to just one IV. I'm getting a couple of antibiotics right now, and that's probably why I'm going to be in the hospital for a few more days, because I haven't kicked it yet, but I don't feel like I'm going to die, and I seriously felt like I was going to die the day after that second surgery. It was the worst feeling I've ever been through in my life. And so, that said, I'm going to make it. So y'all don't worry about me too much. I think I'm going to be okay in the end. But there's going to be some big changes to how I function day to day just with what all has been done to my body. I was very thankful they were able to save my bladder. That was huge. You had to take part of it out because the tumor had spread to the bladder. I think y'all already told y'all that, but the fact that at some point I will regain functionality of my bladder is wonderful. And they did take out a lot of the lymph nodes, which had been enlarged on the MRI. Well, they all tested negative. And that's huge as well, because if the lymph nodes had gotten involved, that gives it a conduit to spread to other parts of the body. And they did test negative, so that was a big deal. So I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy my Jell-O, because it's good Jell-O. Let me tell you, I may become well, it's not like the same Jell-O you buy in the grocery store. It's just it's a whole thing of its own here. I mean, it's not tough, and I don't know, it seems like rubbery. The Jell-O you buy in the store, it just seems like it's tough and rubbery. So I may see if I can get the recipe for it, because it's good Jell-O. If I could get Jell-O at home like this, I'd probably eat it a lot. So anyway, the goal tomorrow is to meet with the nurse again to discuss more about what foods that I'll be able to eat now, having only the small intestine and the ileostomy, which is what I have. So that'll be another learning day. But I am out of the ICU. I wanted to let y'all know that. I'm in a regular room. I can't speak highly enough of Houston Methodist. They've been just wonderful. Everybody here is nice. And one of the nurses actually joked with me and said, "You got to be nice to work here." I said, "Well, that must be," it's like kind of like Chick-fil-A. My pleasure, it's just, everybody here has just been wonderful. And the guy who had me up walking around a while ago, I walked a little more than he thought I was going to be able to walk, because that was really the first big walk I've taken since coming out of the ICU. I couldn't come out of my room when I was in the ICU because there were some COVID patients on that floor. Because as you know, COVID is still very bad here in Houston, and they're having to put people everywhere, so just the fact I have a room, period, was a miracle. But again, like I said, I think we've rounded the curve on this sepsis, and now it's just a matter of continuing to regain my strength and dealing with this post-surgery pain and getting used to this ostomy, because it has a little life of its own and does things, and you kind of have to learn what to expect. So I've got more surgeries to come, but I don't think that that's going to happen for a little while because of what we had to go through with all this. I think Dr. Haas is going to give me quite a bit of recovery time before we try to go on with the next step of this, which will be removing the remaining part of my colon that is no longer attached to anything, but it's still inside of me. So it's going to have to all eventually come out, the rest of it, because it's not serving any purpose anymore. It's just that the surgery lasted 9.5 hours, so they want to continue on with all that. Because I've been under anesthesia for so long, they want to get me out, and they're recovering. My parents are here. My mom has been taking good care of me. They're out getting some lunch right now, and I'm just going to kind of take it easy here in the room for a while, and I'll keep you guys updated and try to give you a little daily update on everything. But I think we're going to get through it. There's some scary times there, but I think we're going to get through it. But thank you for all your love and comments and prayers and support. But keep them coming. All right, love you guys, and I'll talk to you soon.